Is that the roof?
Yeah, that's what we hear all day.
I'm so sorry.
Between that and Bacon,
Yeah,
like, you don't know if you should.
I do
be
know
ducking.
because they were above us at one point. They
Yeah.
made their way around. Oh, I'm so sorry.
One time,
I am so
it was a
sorry.
big bang, like we all dropped down, like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Right.
We're probably gonna need to announce that at the beginning, Colonel, so Mr. Chairman knows. Notice how they waited until.
Construction's always perfectly timed.
Where is Dan and Tom?
They online.
Again. There he is.
There's Dan. Hi, Dan.
You guys are gonna be up first.
Hey, Dave, how are you? Hey,
Good morning.
how was your travel yesterday?
Good.
Yeah. There's construction noise out there that just started, like literally just now. Hear that? Isn't that nuts? Yep, the roof.
Yeah.
Some rich thing.
You think Tom?
Yes, there we go. Well, there's, yeah.
That's us. That's the roof I go to.
Okay. I bet he's waiting.
Oh, last night, son was asleep, and I woke up, because I was so tired, I ended up having a headache. Yesterday, I see.
We're wondering if
I had
Shannon Alexiak is gonna appear on the
okay.
screen or come in person.
Oh, okay.
I guess he can.
I only spoke to him on the phone, so I haven't met him yet.
Okay.
Please mute your,
He comes
could
in,
be anyone.
Comes in.
Please put your, cellular devices on airplane mode.
Take her mom. Being here, mom.
Happy Wednesday, everyone. Mr. Chairman, we can start with the preamble.
Okay. In compliance with notification requirements of Ohio's open meeting law in section 101.021 of the codified ordinances of Cleveland, Ohio, 1796, notice of this meeting has been publicly posted. All boards and commissions under the purview of the city planning department conducts its meetings according to Robert's Rules of Order. Actions during the meeting will be taken by voice vote. Abstentions from any vote due to a conflict of interest should be stated for the record prior to the taking of any vote. We're getting a lot of feedback. Not sure where it's coming from. Could we mute? Okay. In order to ensure that everyone participating in the meeting has the opportunity to be heard, we ask that you use the raise hand feature before asking a question or making a comment. The raise hand feature can be found in the participants panel on the desktop and mobile versions and activated by clicking the hand icon. Please wait for the chair or facilitator to recognize you and be sure to select unmute and announce yourself before you speak. When finished speaking, please lower your hand by clicking on the raise hand icon again and mute your microphone. We will also be utilizing the chat feature to communicate with participants. The chat feature can be activated by clicking the chat button located on the bottom of the WebEx screen. All meeting activities being recorded by way of the WebEx platform. These proceedings are also being live streamed by way of YouTube. All requests to speak in a particular matter by way of our website and email have been considered. We have also received emails from those who have provided written comment on a particular matter. Mr. Jacobson.
Mr. Chairman, this is Dan Jacobson from the Law Department. Preliminarily, the live stream, can we verify that the live stream is on and functioning?
Through the chair, yes.
Thank you. And Mr. Chairman, as the Law Department has done since these public meetings have gone virtual and or hybrid, law states its objection to the use of the chat function. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jacobson. Ms. Davis.
Mr. Bradley,
Here.
Mr. Maskey,
Here.
Mr. Dean,
Here.
Mr. Gallagher.
Here. Okay, well, we have a quorum, correct? So, we will call the first case is going to be, building docket A 166-24, 1200 West 76th Street.
Application and fees are in order. This is an adjudication order for B 230099991. Issued on July 26th of 2024. Appeal was received on August 28th of 2024. Asking the board to waiver items number 1 and 2. Present for today's hearing, Tom Vanover, Department Chief Building Official, Dan Jacobson, Law. With the appellant or his or her attorney or representative, please state your name for the record. Katie Hart. Can you hear, Mr. Chairman?
No.
Katie Hart.
Okay.
And Bill McBurk, our architect.
Only one going to be speaking?
Yes.
Okay. And if I got that right, it was Katie Hart?
Correct, with J-Rock Development. So, Mr. Chairman, we have a lot of construction going on right now, so it might be a little difficult for you to hear. We're gonna ask everyone to project your voice when you're giving testimony and sit closer to the mic.
Okay, I understand we have fire on also. Would you give your name, title, those that are be giving testimony?
Captain Telvin, Fire Marshal.
General Alexiak,
fire plans examiner.
Okay, and we have Mr. Vanover, I believe, is on for the city. Okay, so all those giving testimony solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, so help you God?
I do.
Yeah.
Okay. See, I guess we'll hear, I guess from the beginning here from Ms. Hart.
Yep. So I'll just give a quick introduction to us and brief overview of the project and kind of timeline to this point, then I'll pass it over to Bill. So, I mean, I think some of you are aware of J-Rock Development. We're one of the busiest developers in Cleveland, multifamily developers right now. We just opened a property in early summer and are just about to open another apartment complex retail space in Tremont here in the next couple weeks if our builders hold to their schedule. So we are, born and bred in Cleveland. We love Cleveland. Our entire team, most of our team is made up of Cleveland residents, or long-term Cleveland residents. And we're talking about the Shoreway project here. Skip ahead one. The Shoreway project, we have an existing building of 45 apartment units in the Battery Park area. This is just kind of an overview of J-Rock. Overall, we've invested about $275 million in the city of Cleveland, and that's not including our about $1 million a year direct salaries of our team. It's all based here. The next one, the Shoreway Tower project, is the project we'll be discussing here. We have an existing building in the Battery Park area, the Shoreway, about 45 units, and this project is intended to connect to that existing building. So this is a tower project. It'll total 164 units at the end of it and is about an $85 million project. And so you can see in that bottom rendering that brick building is the existing Shoreway building, and then the tower over to the right is what is currently under construction. Go to the next one. So just a quick overview of timeline. We're very involved and very engaged with all of the local authorities. I think some of the team has been discussing this project for about 18 months with some of the departments here. We've gone through Board of Zoning, PETBOT approvals, local neighborhood, Cleveland landmark approvals and reviews. And the current topic or the reason for this appeal, my understanding, is related to fire access to this new portion of the building. So I will pass it over to Bill to get into the technical components.
Good morning, everybody. We've never been first before, so this is kind of a new experience. So I think that the timeline, as Katie pointed out, it just shows, I think, our ongoing commitment to working with the city of Cleveland to deliver the best and safest building we can. As she mentioned, there were about 4 meetings with Lieutenant Alexiak and Cleveland Fire discussing the building. We understood from the beginning that this was a complicated project. I think this is borne out, and we've worked earnestly, I think, to find ways to make the building safer, make the fire response safer in this area that is currently under development. So the adjudication issues that we're responding to are the fire access width of 26 feet. Which we are unable to provide in several areas, which I will get into in detail. And a few other items, the turnaround that would be necessitated by the 26-foot fire access at the end of West 78th, as well as fire department connection on West 76, which we're more than happy to provide. This slide, so basically just some components of the project. We've, again, been working with Lieutenant Alexiak He's helped direct us to how we can respond to this limited fire access condition. We are creating a building, I think, of the highest and level of construction, a type 1A construction, non-combustible building. It's a high rise, so all of our egress notification systems and so forth are commensurate with that. And I think, as I'll speak to some of the remedial elements or areas in the code which we feel we comply with to help alleviate these issues. If you can go to the next slide, I think this will be the best orientation to the project. One more, please. Okay, so one back, please.
One back?
Yes.
Yeah. This is an aerial overview of the project. In purple is the project itself. On the right is the existing 4-story shoreway structure. On the left is the new proposed addition, which is a high-rise tower and parking structure. The lines here, again, because we are speaking to fire access, the lines here are a diagrammatic view of fire access lanes currently available in the neighborhood. They get to there, we have noted the dead end lengths and the ability to provide multiple access points to the project. The dead end lengths will come up shortly. And then on the, I think the most germane issue, which is on the left, at the end of termination of West 78th, there's a 70-foot turnaround plus an additional 10-foot setback that the project actually has. So creating about an 80-foot turnaround at that area. The other issues that have come into play are obviously the access widths at the existing West 76th and Father Frascati, which are noted there, and the dead end lengths from Battery Park Boulevard and the dead end lengths from where a turnaround can be achieved at our house. One other element I'd really like to point out is the openness of the site, which we will show in 3 dimensions shortly. I understand that when we are given 20-foot wide access widths, that is the number that needs to be accounted for in these conversations. But I think, you know, the practical nature of this site is it is actually very open. That we are abutted to the south by the 2-story Tamura building. But then on the other side of that is property that is owned by the same group that provides a 20-foot access connection between West 76 and West 78th. So we're doing our best to kind of create that loop. Additionally, one other element which will be pointed out in a further slide is we have, with Lieutenant Alexiak's direction, we have done a survey of the hydrants and the flow rates in this area, understanding that the hydrant down at the end of West 78th is somewhat compromised. Part of our project will be bringing water from West 76, where we have adequate fire flow, from West 76 across to West 78th, and be able to provide that for fire response as directed. Next slide, please. This is an aerial diagram of the area. The Shoreway building, kind of in lighter beige on the right, and the new tower addition is quite prominent. The 2-story Tamura building is just to the south of that, and then this open lot, which designates land that the current ownership controls. The gray areas are those fire access ways, and the dead end at West 76 and Father Frascati was noted because it does neck down there at the causeway to the beach to about, I don't know, 14 feet or so. That was, I don't know when that happened in the past, but that is a pinch point for sure, which we've talked about with Lieutenant Alexiak. But I did want to point out the dimensions between the existing structures of almost 60 feet and 80 feet. I think it's important, and Lieutenant Alexiak was well aware that while we can describe the 20-foot access easement, that this isn't a narrow corridor. It is a pretty wide right of way through there. Next slide, please. Here's some existing photos of the area. The top left is looking down West 78th at that 59-foot wide separation between the buildings. As you come down and then just to the right, you're looking across that access point through. We've actually demolished that house just there to the right. So that is actually wide open coming through between West 76th and West 78th. If you slide down, this is a view once you're right at that neck with the Tamura, two-story Tamura building to the right. The site opens up the 70-foot turnaround. And then kind of where you see the container and the fence, our new structure would be 10 feet beyond that. This is kind of from that same point looking over to the left and the open area there. Next slide, please. And just a slightly different overview showing those dimensions again, shifted over a little bit to the southwest. Next slide, please. Okay, so the conversations with Lieutenant Alexiak have pointed to Appendix D of the International Fire Code, which does deal with the dimensions and qualities of those fire access routes. I guess, you know, in this conversation, the most germane aspects of this conversation is I would point out to the qualification of where the aerial access, which requires the 26 feet, where aerial access is required. At the reviewer's discretion, there is an exception for essentially when the fire can be fought from inside the building, and that requires a rated staircase, a standpipe, and access to the roof. Our building, because it does conform with Chapter 4 and all the high-rise requirements, is more than adequate with 2 encased stairways, 2 standpipes, and access to the roof. So we do actually meet all of the qualifications of this exception, which would relieve us from at least in my reading of the code, it would relieve us from that requirement of the aerial apparatus access. If we are down to standard firefighting apparatus access, which is 20 to 26 feet wide in clearance, it does get down to this condition of dead end situations, and that a turnaround is not required at less than 150 feet, which is why I designated in the previous exhibit where we have those dead end situations and that they are actually all underneath 150 feet. The third condition is if, you know, we do like the idea of having a turnaround on our site, and we were using the exhibit to the lower right, which was the alternative turnaround to the 120-foot hammerhead, and that will be designated on our exhibit next. Please show the next slide, please. So this is actually the drawing that we've been using in our permit documents to review by Lieutenant Alexiak. I have added some red areas that he has not seen. Otherwise, I think all of this information has been back and forth with Cleveland Fire. But it does denote that area of staging and turnaround. That is the designated access way, as well as some of these other dimensions. One condition I did see reviewing Appendix D denoted signage, which could be required by the official. Again, we are here to work with Cleveland Fire on creating the both safest building and the safest response area that we can. So we kind of leave everything on the table and how we can help, not just for our building, but for the neighboring buildings, how we can create a safe environment for response. Next slide, please. We can go through these fairly quickly. In our first conversation with Lieutenant Alexiak, he did talk about Cleveland Fires, and I apologize to Lieutenant Alexiak if I've got these out of order, but it was about prevention, notification, egress, and I think suppression might have been the third one. Again, there's a lot of information here, but this is available for review. It's a type 1 structure, high-rise structure, concrete, non-combustible, so that actually, as a concrete structure, we often exceed the requirements of even type 1 construction. Next slide, please. This gets into notification and our alarming. We did work with Lieutenant Alexiak and actually obtain a second address for the tower addition so that response could be coordinated when the alarm goes out, so that the fire, Cleveland Fire does know which side of the project to go to, and that address has already been obtained. Next slide, please. The egress systems in the building, the existing Shoreway building, which will be reclassified as type 1, it is a concrete structure with masonry fire stairs actually exceeding the amount required, and then showing the new egress and access points within our structure, which are concrete encased, as well as 2 fire elevators for the tower. Next slide, please. And one thing I would point out is, again, I know Lieutenant Alexiak asked us to kind of be focused on where we actually exceed those requirements. The occupant load within our structure, because of the floor plate size, is actually very, very low. If you were to actually calculate the occupant load on those stairs, we only use about 15% of the capacity of those fire stairs. This one is the suppression. Again, we are bringing a new water line over within the building over from West 76th to supplement the water that can be provided at West 78th. And then the dark red little square there is the fire command center that's accessed at the base of the tower. Next slide, please. And I think that's where we wrap it up. Katie, did you feel like I missed anything?
No, I think you covered it. But just to echo what you said, I think we've, holistically, with Lieutenant Alexiak's guidance, really tried to beef up the safety components of this building wherever we could, knowing that we're working with some existing conditions. And we're open to continue to do so. Like Bill said, our resident safety is of course extremely important to us, as is the safety of the neighboring area.
Okay, so do you feel that you have met all the requirements of fire, or is there a variance that you're thinking may be required?
I would just say that I think if we were to refer back to Appendix D, which we have been asked to constantly reference, I feel like our access, while not providing the full 26-foot wide aerial apparatus access, that we do actually comply if we are granted the exception for where that is required. And I do feel like our structure meets or exceeds all of those requirements. I feel like we do comply with the requirements of Appendix D.
Okay.
For access.
All right, let's go over to fire. Who's going to speak?
Lieutenant Alexiak.
Okay, go ahead, Lieutenant.
Hello, Lieutenant Alexiak. I'm Cleveland Fire, the Fire Plains Examiner. As it was mentioned, I've spent a lot of time with this project and this team. I actually believe that they've exceeded considerably. They've gone above and beyond to meet the risk considerations. It was mentioned, when it comes to risk, there's 4 critical risk components when it comes to fire protection. It's the time to notification, time to egress, time to response, that's the fire response, and the time to suppression, that's getting water on a fire in a building. They've allowed, through the additional measures that they've added into the building, they exceed all those. They've reduced the time to notification, the time to egress, our time to response, and as well as the time to suppression. So all of those risk factors have been reduced with the additional measures that they've added in. where I'm coming from is, this is a limited access site. There's no two ways about it, okay, as defined by the code. But the code understands that. The code understands that all buildings are not going to have the full access that we desire. We can walk around downtown and we can see that on a regular basis. But what they do is they give us tools in the code to utilize. I believe the design team has illustrated it just in this presentation, the items that they've hit upon to reduce those four risk considerations. In addition to that, they've increased the water supply for that entire block, or this project will do that. Keep in mind, the apartment building that they were showing, if we go to that slide, can we go to the slide that we were showing with the presentation, Colonel?
Is this one?
Go back to the, it shows the streets with the red lines. Yeah,
This
that
one
one.
here?
We blow that up.
Sure. 1 second.
So if we take a look at the apartment complex that's in the lighter gray to the northeast there, that's an existing apartment building. Although their access ends at 150 feet, which that's all they're required to show and do, that road continues up past the building and you can actually turn around. What we don't see to the immediate east of this project is Battery Park and then the gridded streets that are there. So there's staging capabilities for the Cleveland Fire Department there. That was our greatest concern. And again, those are existing conditions as they stand today for an occupied apartment building. What the high rise is bringing into the mix now, where we see the red access points, they've added in what the fire code asks of them to give additional access. If they don't have the traditional access, they have appendix D tools, and that's what they've added in here. Third, they didn't have to build their building. You know, they've gone with type 1 construction. You know, we have the NFPA 13 suppression system. We have a wet suppression and wet standpipe. It's not going to be manual dry, which increases time. I believe, if I remember correctly, we have additional egress and egress widths. So what that does is that reduces the time for occupants in a building to egress. As it was mentioned, there's a lower occupant load per floor plan too, as well. So as a fire plans examiner, I don't like all the things that come across my desk. You know, if you're asking me what would be the perfect building for egress, it would be a 1-story cinder block building with windows all the way around and about, 28 feet, 30 feet completely surrounding the building. It's just not realistic. But if we're going to build a project and a high-rise project, I believe this team's done a good job and has added in even more than what the fire department was requesting. Now, if there are other issues, that's all I have for the fire plans examiner.
Okay, so as a specific, is there a variance that you feel is required to some of the turnarounds or wherever that we can go to the page and say, okay, that they need a variance for a certain location or area because it's not meeting the code exactly, but they're doing a whole lot of other things that are. So I think there needs to be a possibility of a variance. Is that correct?
That is correct. They don't meet the aerial apparatus, but they do meet the additional measures called out under the Ohio Fire Code, section 901.4.4. That's where it has occupancies of a hazardous nature or of limited access, and this is limited access. The fire official can require additional means, and this is actually what they've done for us. They've added in the additional means for limited access occupancy. So that was the variance. But before I close on that, I see the commissioner has his hand raised, and I know also the fire marshal is online. He may want to add in or require.
Yes. Let's hear from him.
This is Dave Calvin, Fire Marshal. I believe Lieutenant Alexiak did a fine job with putting our points across, and I'm satisfied with what he presented.
Okay, so there really doesn't need to be, because of the meeting other requirements, for there to be a variance. Maybe I should go over to Mr. Vanover. Mr. Vanover, are you with us?
Yeah, the two items that were requested for a variance were items 1 and 2. So I will allow, in order to craft the variance properly, I will allow Lieutenant Alexiak to better opine on that. I do have a question. This parking area, this flat surface that is where the red lines are, is that on the same parcel as the high rise? Mr. Chairman, to the appellate.
It's actually a deeded access easement that's on several parcels right there.
Okay, so, and those are no bill deeds for access for in perpetuity?
Correct, non-revocable.
Okay, so in 2 years, we're not gonna have somebody building another apartment building here?
Correct, correct.
Okay.
Or they'll be back in front of you if they do.
Correct, okay, so Mr. Chairman, yeah, I would just, if the specific, I believe, Lieutenant, correct me if I'm wrong, the specific variance requested is relief from the requirement of the aerial apparatus requirement, aerial apparatus access requirements of the Ohio Fire Code.
That's correct, Commissioner.
If that's the only one, then without objection from the board, unless you have any questions, the board.
I don't have any questions.
Okay. All right, if there's no questions, then we'll move to grant the variance for the not having the aerial apparatus, and that it also meets what has been said by Lieutenant and by Mr. Newberka as far as meeting other apparatuses to take the place of that were sufficient. So moved. Motion.
So moved.
Okay, motion by Mr. Dank. Second. Okay, second by Mr. Maskey.
Mr. Bradley,
Yes.
Mr. Maskey,
Yes.
Mr. Dink,
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher.
Okay, notice will be sent out within 2 weeks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna move back up, I believe, to the top of the docket. A 22-24, 12500 St. John Avenue.
Application and fees are in order. Notice of violation is condemnation of the main structure, fire damage, and condemnation of shed. Issued on January 18th and 22nd of 2024. Appeal was received February 5th of 2024, requesting for 4 months to complete abatement of the violations. Present for today's hearing, Tom Vanover, Chief Building Official, Dan Jacobson Law. Would the appellant or his or her owner or representative please state your name for the record? Mr. Chairman, I do not see the appellant listed on the application present today in room 514 or in the participants panel.
Okay, Mr. Vanover solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, so help you God.
I do.
Mr. Jacobson.
Through the chairman to Ms. Davis. Did notice of today's hearing get returned to the board's file for any reason?
Through the chair to Mr. Jacobson, no.
And through the chairman to Ms. Davis, have you received any form of communication, email, voice message, or anything physically delivered to you on behalf of this appellant and or docket?
Through the chair to Mr. Jacobson, no.
To the chairman, the due process requirement of notice having been given to this appellant, the board can proceed with this hearing and ruling today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Vanover?
Mr. Chairman, our records indicate that there was a demolition permit applied for and it was compliance where the work has been, the structure's been raised and the permit has been closed. We don't object to granting until today for compliance.
Okay, so a motion is in order to grant today's date, which is September 11th, 2024, to abate the violation. Motion? Okay, moved by Mr. Bradley,
Second.
second by Mr. Maskey.
Mr. Maskey,
Yes.
Mr. Bradley,
Yes.
Mr. Dink,
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher.
Yes, notice will be sent out within 2 weeks. Next docket is A 2424 3279 West 58th Street.
Application and fees are in order. Notice of violation is condemnation of the main structure issued on January 16th of 2024. Appeal was received February 5th of 2024, requesting the appellant did not request any abatement time on the application. Present for today's hearing, Tom Vanover, Chief Billing Official, Dan Jacobson Law. With the appellant or his or her attorney or representative, please state your name for the record.
Nathan Nikinsky.
Okay, Mr. Nikinsky, solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead and let us know what the plans are.
So long story short, this accident happened 12/13/2023. And the insurance company got involved. I hired a insurance adjuster as well. They were both out on site, 1/18/20 to do an inspection and to come up with a price on what's needed to be done here and what's going to cost to rehab everything. Just recently, on 9/3/24, I received funds to proceed with either rehabbing the property or the duplex, or paying off the loan and completely demolishing the duplex that's on site. With what I've come up with, I plan to pay off the loan of the property and completely demolish the burnt house on site. There's also a single family home on that property, which I will be leaving, which is behind the burnt property. So that's where I'm at now. After just getting that check last week, I had to send that to my mortgage company and had to hire a demo crew to get out there and completely demolish the property.
Have you obtained a permit?
Not yet.
Okay. All right, so your plans are to demolish it?
Correct.
Okay, Mr. Vanover.
Mr. Chairman, we don't object to October 1st, 2024 to make application and obtain the permits, and December 1st to abate the violations.
Okay, so motion is in order to grant till October 1st to obtain 2024 to obtain the permits, and till December 1st, 2024 to abate the violation. Motion. Okay, moved by Mr. Bradley,
Second.
second by Mr. Dent.
Mr. Maskey,
Yes.
Mr. Bradley,
Yes.
Mr. Dink,
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher.
Yes. Okay, notice will be sent out to you within 2 weeks. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, docket 82624, 324 East 149th Street.
Application and fees are in order. Notice of violation is exterior maintenance issued January 9th of 2024. Appeal was received February 5th of 2024, requesting 4-month complete abatement of the violation. Present for today's hearing, Chief Billing Official Tom Vanover and Jacobson Law. Will the appellant or his or her attorney or representative please state your name for the record?
Eileen Scott.
Okay, Ms. Scott, solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, so help you God.
I do.
Okay, go ahead and proceed.
So I received the notification for maintenance. It was like peeling paint and, some other, kind of cracking in the, the woodwork and that. So it's, new windows are in, siding's happening right now. It should be done by the beginning of next week.
Done by when?
Beginning of next week. They said 6 or 7 days. They started on Monday, so.
Okay, all right. Mr. Vanover.
Mr. Chairman, we don't object to 30 days.
Okay. So that would be October 11th, 30 days, 2024 to abate the violation. Motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Dank, second by Mr. Maskey.
Mr. Maskey,
Yes.
Mr. Bradley,
Yes.
Mr. Dink,
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher.
Yes. Okay, notice will be sent out within 2 weeks. Thank you. Next docket is A3024, 4065 East 79th Street.
Application and fees are in order. Notice of violation is condemnation of the main structure. Issued on January 12th of 2024. Appeal was received February 9th of 2024. The appellant did not request any fine. Present at today's hearing, Tom Vanover, Chief Billing Official, Dan Jacobson Law. Will the appellant or his or her owner, will the appellant or his or her attorney and or representative please state your name for the record?
Yeah, for the city. Building and housing.
You're for the city. Oh, okay. Okay, that's your guy.
I'm not hearing any names.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
the appellant is not present in room 514 or in the participant panel online.
Okay.
He's here on behalf of the city. They asked him to be here.
Oh,
Yeah.
Would
Mr.
you
Chairman,
wanna
we
come
do
up,
have an
please?
officer here that I guess the building department asked to be present.
Okay, so we have somebody that's going to speak for the property owner?
No.
Okay,
on behalf of the city.
going to be speaking for the city. Okay, solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead and tell us what you got.
Officer Steven Schmitz, badge 1875, 4th District Community Services Unit. I was assigned this property about 2 years ago in connection with Rebecca Bauer, the councilwoman of the area, as well as the commander's office for nuisance on the property. There's 3 properties in that area. They have a lot of squatters, a lot of drug activity, and a lot of illegal dumping. And it's been a continuation of a problem for the better part of almost 2 years.
Okay, you got a recommendation?
I
Not to
don't
give,
think that's my my area of expertise. Right there.
okay, all right, Mr. Vanover, I know
So,
you.
yeah, Mr. Chairman, we asked that this property be denied any more time. It doesn't sound like there was any time asked for. And remanded back to the Department of Building and Housing. It's obviously a a hazardous structure as it's condemned, and it's become a nuisance, which is evident by testimony provided by CPD. We ask that you deny any time and remand it back to the Department of Building and Housing and find that the violation notice was properly issued.
Okay, a motion is in order to deny more time, remand the property back to the Division of Building and Housing for any further action, and that the notice was properly issued.
So move.
Moved by Mr. Bradley,
Second.
second by Mr. Maskey.
Mr. Bradley,
Yes.
Mr. Maskey,
Yes.
Mr. Dink,
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher.
Yes. Notice will be sent out within 2 weeks. Okay, now we're gonna get into the bridge dockets. Let's see, on proceeding, we did have a request from both parties to, I don't have it in front of me here, but anyways, it was, oh, do we have that notice, Ms. Davis? Come forward.
You want me to forward you the notice?
It's just to read off the beginning line is all.
Yeah.
Makes the motion. Joint motion. With that one, you go outside.
Yes.
You mean the joint motion to continue, Mr.?
Yes,
Chairman?
that's the one I'm talking about. There was a motion to continue, and we asked that both parties come before us to address that. So I guess we'll ask the railroad, CSX Transportation to respond first.
Thank you. This is James Carnes. I'm the attorney for CSX. I would defer to Mr. Jacobson. The notices of violations have been closed, which we would understand would moot our appeals at this point.
Okay, very good. Mr. Jacobson.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. At this point, I'd like to let Chief of Code Enforcement Dave Roberts address that issue.
Okay. Mr.
Yes,
Roberts.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Carnes is entirely correct. We've withdrawn the notices and marked them as closed non-compliant. So the motion to continue is moved and the appeals are also.
Okay, so there would be no action by the board because it is mute. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I think we're taking a look at, I don't know if I need to read each one of these off to say that they all fall underneath this. Ms. Davis, a recommendation on that?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, for the record.
For the record, read them off. Okay, so I'm just going to read the dockets off. That doesn't necessarily have to be the location, correct? A250-23, A251-23, A252-23, A253-23, A254-23, A255-23, A256-23, A257-23, A258-23, A259-23, A260-23, A261-23, A262-23, A263-23, A264-23, A265-23, A266-23. They all have been withdrawn and no action to be taken.
Found moot, Mr. Chairman?
Pardon?
Not withdrawn.
Found moot.
They're found mute. Okay. So they will be recorded as being found mute. So there's no action to be taken by the board.
M-U-T.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
M-O-O-T, not M-U-T, yes, yeah.
Moot, not mute, right.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. Okay, thank you, and I believe that, the notice will be sent out to you within 2 weeks. Okay, do we have anything else to come before the board?
Adoption of the resolutions.
Oh, we sure do. Okay. Let's take a look here.
Playhouse Square.
Yes.
Okay, approval of, resolutions. We have A624, A2124, A2824, A2924, A3124, A4524, A6424, A6524, A6624, 6724, A6824, 6924, A7024, A7124, A7324, A7424, A7524, A7624, A7724, A7824, A7924, A8024, A8224, A8424, A8524, A8824, and A10824. Motion,
Wait, 1 second, Mr. Chairman.
yes?
At the very top is docket A 40423, also known as A 11124.
Okay, so we will include that, A 404-23, also known as A 11124, to that list. Motion.
So moved.
Okay, moved by Mr. Maskey,
Second.
second by Mr. Tank.
Mr. Bradley,
Yes.
Mr. Maskey,
Yes.
Mr. Dane,
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher.
Yes. Approval of minutes for August 28, 2024. Are there any additions or corrections?
No.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
Okay, moved by Mr. Maskey,
Second.
second by Mr. Tank.
Mr. Bradley,
Yes.
Mr. Maskey,
Yes.
Mr. Dane,
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher.
Yes. Now, is there any further business to come before the board?
No.
We are now adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you. 2 weeks.
Do you need that motion or am I still on that?
Oh,
You got it? You want to keep it? You keep, if you need it, you keep it.
right.